It is Luke Skywalker Friday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This evening we can play with the latest iteration of Buddha's Easy Meditation. Way back in junior high, they taught us that before we could work out, we had to warm up. And afterwards, we had to cool down. We're going to follow a similar paradigm this evening. The view of reality that supports letting go is described in the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path that I like to describe as Mahayoga's wisdom warm-up. Come on, machine, don't fail me now. Please chant with me. Rather than endotro controlling tendencies without follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief. Ooh, look at that. That's an editing opportunity. We could just recite these wise words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Tally-ho. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. Cowabunga. So we'll notice that on this page, the first word is may. This does not infer a supplication to a real or imagined celestial entity. Au contraire, we are simply using words to guide our intention. And we might get better and better at letting go, which is our birthright, which is what we are already wired to do if we would simply get out of the way. Consider, if you would, the word circumstances. Whoopsie, too many clicks. The Buddha was fond of organizing that which could be perceived in terms of the four bases of mindfulness, the satipatthana. Those would be the circumstantial, dhamma, the physical, kaya, the interpersonal, vedana, and the mental, chitta. Let us begin with the circumstantial. Every adult already understands impermanence, that things change, interdependence, that things affect other things. Anyone who's ever picked up a cat who didn't want to be held, soon found that out. We are going to use the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence, and we're going to use the verb absorb as a metaphor of interdependence. And just as a forester might strive to fight fire with fire, ironically enough, we are going to use self-centeredness to transcend self-centeredness, which is an irony delicious. Now, together, let's chant. May we see how all circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. Now, we're going to take all these words, and we're going to compress them, just like a diamond. We're going to compress them into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. Through the magic of words and breathing, we can rapidly master the Buddha's path. Together. May we feel how all bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communicational speech. May we hear how all interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. So now we're going to take things a step further. And if you are as old as me, you'll remember that song by Bandits that began One Step Beyond. And then it sounded like every other song by Bandits. So if you read any books about Buddhism or read any internet postings about Buddhism, it won't take you long to find the word empty or emptiness. All the confusion that comes with it. Why is there confusion? Because the people who are rigid have difficulty recognizing figures of speech. They interpret them literally and then lament when they can't understand them. The minority who choose to be flexible can recognize that not all statements are literal and that some are figurative. So emptiness makes sense when we view it figuratively. Now, any English teacher worth their salt will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So on the next page, we'll answer the inferred question, which is, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast empty void? Let us begin chanting at the word may. May we feel how all perceiving, emoting, intending, thinking, recalling, and imagining minds could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Yes, that was melodramatic. I cannot help myself. We now turn to the seventh, having completed our warm-up. Now that our mind is limber to that which was already obvious to us 10 minutes previously. We now turn to the seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's eightfold path, Ati Yoga's mindfulness and meditation, which we shall practice together after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. The Ana Yoga, which is just a fancy Sanskrit word for energy work, supports our meditation. There are many flavors of energy work. I prefer mudra-oriented or hand position-oriented energy work. So we begin with our first of 4 collections of silent meditations. So on our left hand, we can count 8 sets, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But what are those 8 sets keeping track of? They're keeping track of our right hand's 12 rounds, but what's a round? A round is like a set of scissors. A round is simply one inhalation and one exhalation, because you gotta have both, or you'll turn blue, tip over, wiggle funny, and annoy the cat. Oh, kitty cats, the hall monitors of the house. So, on our right hand, during each inhalation, we can advance our thumb. And so over the course of 12 breaths, we could keep track of them thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Congratulations, you're 2/3 of the way to understanding Buddhist hand jive. So we talked about the first of 4 collections. Fortunately, we have 4 knuckles, and that fits together perfectly. Because by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger in our lap, you might say, it doesn't look like you're resting. And the answer is, if I went like this and went like that, you wouldn't see it touch the little finger. Ha ha ha. Oh, if I was fancy, I would have a second webcam just for my hands, but I'm not yet that fancy. However, allow me to remind you of this. By resting our hands thusly, we induce our subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region's secret wheel, which sounds spooky until you realize secret just means it doesn't have a landmark like the navel does. That's all. Having explored Anu Yoga, we turn to Ati Yoga. And let's break that down. Ati Yoga comes in 2 parts. The first part is mindfulness. But how does mindfulness work? What if mindfulness was just a special way of noticing? A way of noticing that was vulnerable and passive and visceral and random and fleeting. But notice what? Notice the antics of mind. Notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, how can we do that easily and effectively and even elegantly? Simple. We can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. But Ati Yoga is in two parts. What's the second part? The second part is meditation. But how does that work? Every time we relax in harmony with our exhalation, all that we perceive during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. How do we practice that? Easy. We silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Now it's time for me to stop talking and for us to start practicing. By the by, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist meditation, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check that chat window at least once every 10 minutes. I should say about once every 10 minutes. we come to our second of 4 collections of silent meditations, which we keep track of by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger on the tip of our left ring finger in our lap. Doing so induces our subtle energy to coalesce at our navel. So I'm going to assume everybody's here has heard the instructions. If not, speak up and I will gladly repeat them. And of course, by speak up, I mean type up. Let's explore it then. Let's explore this through the lens of neuroscience. I think that's really cool. So, Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. What could suckiness look like? It could look like choosing rigidity instead of flexibility, fear instead of love, superstition instead of rationality, controlling tendencies instead of being laid back, being cryptic instead of being lucid, being competitive instead of being cooperative, being cruel instead of being kind. So people who are in that worldview will earnestly implore their students to actively concentrate or focus or actively analyze. And the only way to do that is to rely upon such discrete structures such as those found in the medial prefrontal cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. The problem is that the prefrontal cortex is easily overworked, and when that happens, the almond-shaped amygdala, which actually translates as almond, gets triggered. And this amygdala is the seat of aggression and anxiety. And so you can see that not only can concentration and analysis be exhausting, but they can exacerbate our anxiety and aggression, which is darkly ironic. But fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex are the only components of our central nervous system. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and spontaneously. It has helped us to notice, it has helped us to perceive sights, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. Now, if the easiest way to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. But I'm going to be honest with you. Noticing all this stuff, noticing everything from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque, that can at times be overwhelming. Don't worry, evolution's got our back. Because every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, we are accessing the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. In fact, as we relax in harmony with our exhalation, that which we perceived during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was at least fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. Yes, what the ancients spoke. Oh, yes, and I forgot something. In the name of neuroscience, I forgot something else. Well, I'll skip that for the next meditation break. We now come to our third of 4 collections of silent meditation. To keep track of that, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger in our lap. Doing so could induce our subtle energy to coalesce at our heart wheel. This could be a great if you just tuned in, welcome aboard. Here's the your timing is perfect. Here's the lowdown on mindfulness. What if mindfulness was just a special way of noticing? Noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But noticing what? Well, noticing mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Well, that can seem overwhelming. So allow me to share with you an easy way to do that very efficiently. Simply, silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. But that's only one half of the equation. What about meditation? What about meditation? There we go. How does that work? Meditation is simply relaxing. Did it again. Relaxing in harmony with our exhalation in such a way as to cause that which we perceived during our previous inhalation to fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining. How do we do that? Simple. We silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. The fancy religious terms for this would be watching the play of mind and relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. We come now to the fourth of 4 collections of silent meditation. To keep track of it, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap. Doing so induces our subtle energies to coalesce at our crown. Let us discuss 3 distinct benefits of regularly and effectively watching the play of mind and relaxing into its non-graspable nature. First, it calms the anxious and aggressive amygdala. Second, it stimulates the anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy and compassion and love that functions as the hub of our mirror neurons. This is why Toko Tunda insisted that the highest love was not the product of contrived concentration or analysis, au contraire, but rather the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. What is the third benefit of consistently and authentically practicing mindfulness and meditation? It induces our choices and our utterances and our deeds to flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. This is the flow state upon which the Tao Te Ching implores us to serve. So I'm going to assume you're the same individual who received my meditation instructions 10 minutes ago. If you're not, just pipe up in the chat window and I will gladly repeat the meditation instructions. But having completed our silent meditation, we now transition towards mantra meditation. So let's begin by exploring at least one explanation of this mantra. Let's see if this fits better. That fits better. So please begin by chanting with me. So this mantra is based on one of the many nicknames of the Buddha, Shakya Muni. Please chant with me. With whom we invoke the archetype of the Muni, wise one, Maha, greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of the Shakya, so hard enlightenment for all. I think there's an opportunity, an editing opportunity. Oh, what a surprise. So, quick like a bunny, I'm going to hit the backspace and the verb. And there we go. Now that's a spicy meatball, eh? So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to practice with you 9 sets of 12 repetitions of this mantra for a total of 108. For the first 5 sets, I'd like us to do straight mindfulness and meditation. For the final 4 sets, I'd like us to blend mantra meditation with exercises of loving kindness. So how does this bad boy work? During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing into this. But what is this? This is whatever pierces our sphere of perception, whether it is a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like, whether it is an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining, whether it is a perception of anything, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Anything. What do we do with it? During our exhalation, we do 2 things. We physically relax as best we can, and we strive to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. And of course, if this is your first time hanging out with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. The most important thing is not how beautifully you sing or how rapidly you chant, but how deeply you relax during each exhalation. What I'd like to do right now is teach you a trick to keep track of those 12, of those breaths and those repetitions. So now here's how we're going to use our right hand. Each finger is going to represent 1 breath, and each set of creases is going to represent 1 repetition. So now let's put it in practice. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa, 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 Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, 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 Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. This lighting makes me look skeletal, doesn't it? Okay, so here we go. Welcome aboard. Welcome to this evening's live stream. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Buddha's path, but we're scared to ask. That's a reference to a Woody Allen movie from the 70s. We come now to our second collection of 12 mantra repetitions. To keep track of it, I urge you to rest the great knuckle at the base of your right index finger. Upon the tip of your left index finger, place these two hands in your lap. Doing so induces our subtle energies to collect or coalesce at our crown. So, let's take a moment to discuss let's take a moment to discuss Buddha nature. Oh no, that was a missed opportunity. Okay, let's talk about non-duality. I've met people who were so enthusiastic to become Buddhas, but their enthusiasm was corrupted with rigidity. And so they just told themselves spiritual sounding lies, which did more harm than good. People who insisted they could not tell the difference between chocolate and dog shit. Well, if that's the case, I don't want them making me dessert. I gotta draw a line somewhere, and that's it. Non-duality is simple. As we relax into the recitation of the mantra, whatever beauty or ugliness, whatever duality of beautiness or ugliness we might have noticed during our inhalation, could melt into the simplicity of just appearance. As we relax into the recitation of our mantra, whatever duality of harmony or discord we might have noticed during our inhalation can melt into the simplicity of just sound. As we relax into our exhalation, as we relax into the recitation of the mantra, whatever duality of pleasure or pain we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of just sensation. As we relax into the recitation of the mantra, whatever duality of flavorful or foul we might have noticed during our previous inhalation can melt in the simplicity of just taste, just flavor. As we relax into the recitation of our 12-syllable mantra, whatever duality of fragrance or foul we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could melt into the simplicity of just scent. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, 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 Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. Muni muni ma muni sawa. Om muni muni ma muni sawa. Om muni muni ma muni sawa. That is great. As we come to our third of, as we come to our third of 9 collections of 12 repetitions of mantra, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, placing both these hands in our lap. Doing so could induce our subtle energies to coalesce at our There is a myth that there are bad emotions and there are good emotions. No, there's just emotions. In the freedom of mindfulness and meditation, it's not the freedom from the presence of unwanted emotions. That's just indulging our controlling tendencies. It's freedom from judging ourselves based on what we feel or intend or think or recall or imagine. Yes, yes. Some of those things are pleasurable, some are painful, some are interesting, and some are boring, but they're not good or bad. They just are. We can't believe our way into doing this, but we can feel our way into doing this. Because here's the great irony. As we breathe in, hot and cold are two opposites. As we relax into our exhalation, they have the same taste or share the same taste of non-graspability. It is, and that is the engine that drives the machine of non-duality. So if you've just joined me, welcome aboard. Let's keep it simple. As we breathe in, silently and mentally, we can recite relaxing into this. This is whatever we notice, conceptually or non-conceptually. And as we exhale, we can physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa. Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa. Om Muni Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa. 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 Muni Muni Ma Muni Swa. We come now to our 4th of 9 collections of 12 mantras. Come, let us rest the great knuckle at the root or the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger and our hand. Doing so induces our subtle energies to coalesce at our navel wheel. What if enlightenment was nothing mystical or magical or cryptic or elite? What if it was simply mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? As a child, I had great difficulty learning how to tie my shoes. But I heard the instructions over and over again after much effort and much trial and error and many tears. Eventually, I got so good at tying my shoes that I could do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. The same thing can be done with the Buddha's Eightfold Path. That is why the Buddha insisted his path could be mastered in less than 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. We come now to the 5th collection of 12 recitations of the 12-syllable mantra. To keep track of it, I implore you to rest the great knuckle at the base of your right little finger upon the tip of your left little finger in your lap. I assure you that doing so, could induce our subtle energies to coalesce at our secret wheel in our bladder region. Let us discuss the 7 enlightenment factors. The first one is mindfulness. We cannot hide from the present moment experience. The second one is investigation. Rather than being defensive, saving face, or making excuses, we can be vulnerable and enthusiastic in that vulnerability. The third is energy. The fourth is joy. We must find a way to practice that feeds our joy and our emotional joy and our physical exuberance. Otherwise, once enlightenment becomes a death march, we've taken a wrong turn. The 5th fold of the Buddha's the 7 enlightenment factors. The 5th enlightenment factor is peace. The peace that is available every time we exhale. The 6th enlightenment factor is the coalescence. Just as our breath coalesces in our lungs as we breathe in, likewise, our objects of awareness coalesce in our mind, in our organs of perception. And rather than fight them, we must be vulnerable to them enthusiastically if we do not mind redundancy. The 7th enlightenment factor is equanimity or balance, and no, that does not mean we have no feelings when we're made of wood. Au contraire, it means that we have the same contemplative response to whatever we experience. You're experiencing pleasure, notice it and relax. You're experiencing pain, notice it and relax. You're experiencing good fortune, notice it and relax. You're experiencing bad fortune, notice it and relax. The universality of the one remedy of mindfulness and meditation is the 7th enlightenment factor. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite, relaxing into this. As we exhale, let us physically relax as best we can whilst striving to chant the 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. We begin with wisdom's warm-ups. We practiced mindfulness and meditation, both silently and with mantras. We conclude with Mahayoga's compassionate cool-down, also with mantras. Why? Why do we do this? Because the loving kindness comprises 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Please chant with me. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with our volleys of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Oh, I just had a brainstorm. Let's try something real quick. Let's go over here and tap. Oh, I can't do that. Let's go over here and tap this button and tap this. Oh, on second thought, let's tap this. Nope. Let's go back over here, tap this on the right. Let's go to transform and let's hit center horizontally and see what happens. Ah, well, that's ghastly. Can I undo that? Edit. Undo. Oh, thank you for staying tuned for my experiment. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors with statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chant explaining metaphors as similes. To keep track of our 6th collection of 12 repetitions of the 12-syllable mantra, let us rest the great knuckle of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger. May we be a fount of blessing for all upon who we think, or who think of us. May all minds of all beings known be as peacefully enlightened as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by articulate one-syllable seed or bija mantra. So notice this word may. It is not an inference to supplicate real or imagined celestial entities. Au contraire, we are simply using words to guide our own intention, to make our neural pathways responsible for empathy even more robust. So we are now going to take all these words and allow them to coalesce into just 6 syllables, which we silently and mentally recite during our inhalation, bija-wise for all minds. This is not something we visualize. This is something we believe. This is simply an idea we play with. And then chant. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om 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 Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Let us now rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger in our lap. May we be a fount of blessing for all we listen to, speak to, or speak of, and for all who listen to us, or speak to us, or speak of us. May all relationships or speech of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha speech of symbolized by a multi-syllabic mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 For our 8th of 9 collections of 12 repetitions of the 12-syllable mantra, let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger in our lap. May we be a font of blessing for all who we touch or who touch us. May all bodies or forms of all beings know and show the beautiful health represented by Buddha statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yadaman archetype of enlightenment such as Shakyamuni. Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om 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 Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As now we come to our 9th of 9 collections of 12 sets of the 12-syllable mantra. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap. May we be a font of blessing for all who we see or who see us. May our circumstances or lots of all beings know have the safe fortune or boon. As a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Valentine. Om Muni Muni Mani Swa 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 Om Muni Muni Mani Swa. The circumstantial morality of the kind commerce that trades in or that replaces cruelty and competition with kindness and cooperation is the fifth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. For truly, that which we discussed is all that is required of us ethically. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.25 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as silly and as geeky as me, may the Force be with you.